If you're ready to say goodbye to being a boss babe or hustling 24/7, welcome to Life in Business. This is the podcast for women just like you who want an easy and effective way to grow your business that's built around genuine work-life balance, not growing a £1 million empire. I'm your podcast host, Libby Langley, award-winning business coach and Amazon best-selling author, known as the Queen of Easy Business because of my sensible and easy-to-implement ways to earn more by doing less. In Life in Business, I share with you how to make small but effective tweaks, how to be confident in your business decisions, and how to make a healthy and guilt-free profit doing exactly what you love the most without working 14 hours a day. Get ready to make your dreams a reality. Here's this week's episode. Hello, welcome to episode 40 of Life in Business. I honestly can't quite believe that we're here at 40 episodes. It's funny, when you start something, you don't really know what's going to happen or what journey it's going to take you on. But I can honestly say that this podcast has been really kind of life affirming for me, and I know it's made a difference to so many people's lives as well. And I don't say that to be a big head or whatever. It's just I get messages from people and that really makes it so worthwhile for me, and I'm really grateful for that, and it's something that I've always enjoyed doing. So episode 40, here we are. And interestingly, episode 40 is it time to quit? And that's not specifically talking about this podcast, but this is in response to questions that clients have been asking me, and also questions that are in the air in the business community in general, okay? And actually quitting stuff can be really, really positive. Hugely positive. So there's lots of things that you probably do that you don't need to do, right? This is not about just giving up and walking away from stuff. This is about self-reflection and listening to how you feel about everything. And certainly in business, everything runs in cycles. I mean, I started my business coming up for 12 years ago now, and oh my crikey, the world of business is a totally different place, a totally different landscape, almost unrecognisable to what it was back then. And along the way, I've started and succeeded and quit on an awful lot of things. I mean, having ADHD probably means that these, this quitting happens more often than for other people possibly. But definitely there are these cycles. And I don't think that necessarily we kind of reflect as much as we should on where we've been, the journey we've been on, and what we want to achieve in the future, because that changes too, right? I mean, what I wanted from life 12 years ago ain't what I want now, because I was a different person living in a different place with a different husband. And so these things change. And it's always okay to change your mind and to want to do things differently, okay? Which is otherwise known as quitting, okay? Quitting can be a hugely positive thing. So along the way in my particular business journey, and I share this because I know that some of it will resonate, and also some of it will make you think, well, do you know what? That's all right. I can quit this stuff too. And I started, well, first of all, I quit my job, right? That in itself was a huge, big step. I quit my job with no business. I was just so desperately unhappy in my job, and I mean desperately unhappy. Burnout now, I look back. And so I quit my job. I knew I couldn't go back. I kind of walked out one day and knew I couldn't go back. So I basically just decided to start a business using the skills and experience that I'd got in my job, which was a qualified teacher and tutor. And so teaching and delivering programs is what I'd been doing as part of my job. So it was a kind of natural transition. But yeah, I didn't have any grand plan. It was just, I'm sure I could make some money by this. So first of all, I quit my job. And then as I was building the business, I got some staff members, and I did a lot of social media management, or we did a lot of social media management for other companies. But none of it didn't kind of sit right with me. So, I went all in and hustled like ain't nobody ever hustled in those first few years in business. But it wasn't making me happy, and it wasn't what I wanted to do. And I remember there was a business owner who I was kind of friends with back then, and he said to me, "I've never seen anyone as focused and determined as you." And I don't feel like that anymore. I don't feel like that anymore. And that's the honest truth. And this is probably, I don't know, 10, 11 years later, 11 years later than that. And, I'm in a different decade now in my life. And so, focused and determined, I'm just not anymore. And so I kind of feel like almost I've quit that persona along the way. I don't know if it was really me. I mean, certainly I've always worked very hard and been very focused in jobs and done extremely well in my career. And I think I transposed a lot of that into my business. And it was kind of unhealthy, really. I worked really hard. I worked really long hours and made a lot of money, not necessarily a lot of profit, but big numbers of turnover, and had these staff, built this empire, all of these things. And then I quit it all. So I kind of quit everything that I'd built. I got rid of the staff. I quit the office. I went back home. I got rid of a lot of the clients. And all of that felt like a big relief and a good thing to do. But kind of doing that is really hard because you are quitting. You are absolutely quitting. And the reasons were right for me, but it's still sometimes difficult to kind of explain it to people and tell them that you're pivoting and all this stuff. I guess there's a bit of ego in there. And I guess that there's just a bit of caring too much what other people think, but, it's all still quite a long time ago, that too. And then along the way, since then, I've also quit with certain clients. I've quit doing social media training. I stopped doing that a few years ago. I've had group programs that I've quit. and it just works in a kind of cycle. And the way I look at things is not that I've given up, right? It's that I've quit because it's no longer right for me. And that is a hugely different reframe on things, on stopping doing things. Because ultimately, when you're in business, and I cannot stress this enough, so write this down if you're somewhere that you can write it down. You are in business for you. That is the sole reason that you started this business. And the nuances of that will be different for everybody. So it might be to spend more time with your family. It might be because your earnings aren't capped. It might be so you can work from anywhere. It might be because it fits in with family commitments, whatever. You'll have different reasons, but ultimately it's because of you. It's because it's what you want to do and it's about you. You're the centre of your business, absolutely. And so if you decide that something isn't sitting right with you or doesn't feel right with you, then quit it. Absolutely quit it. If you were going all in on going to a couple of networking meetings a week, but they really drain you, then you can quit them. You don't have to do it anymore. If you're going live on Instagram twice a week, but it stresses the hell out of you, you don't have to do it anymore. You can just quit all of these things. If you're sending 3 emails a week to your list, quit it down to 1 a week. All of it, stuff will still work, right? You don't have to be in a hustle mindset in order to be successful in business. You don't ever have to post on social media in order to be successful in business. You don't have to have an email list. There's lots of things you don't have to do. They will all make a difference, right? But if they make you unhappy or make you poorly or make you stressed, then that absolutely is something that you need to quit doing, right? Because if you're not putting yourself and how you feel at the centre of everything you're doing in your business, you might as well have a job. Absolutely might as well have a job and get paid the regular salary and the pension contributions and all of this stuff. Okay, so I'm asking you today, is it time to quit? And that can be as big or as small as you want. Okay, it can be quitting doing, like I said, it can be quitting posting so often on social media if you really hate it, or it could be quitting your business, or it could be quitting your job to start your business. It could be anything, okay, as big or as small as you want. There's a few signs that it's time to quit something, and I thought that would be kind of quite useful to share with you today. The first one is that your body says so. All right, so if you're feeling tired, anxious, exhausted, confused, brain foggy, your body aches, there's something not right there. There's something that needs to change in your life, and therefore there's something that you need to quit. And I'm becoming more acutely aware that I'm actually coming out of a level of burnout, and particularly related to my autistic burnout. And I know that my burnout has been at level 4 because of all the symptoms that I've had. There's only 5 levels, right? So it's been pretty bad. But that in itself shows me that there is absolutely stuff that needs to big time change in what I'm doing. Okay. My day, how my day is, how my life as a whole is. So there's lots of things. So your body will physically manifest stress and, I don't know, like agitation, anxiety, unhappiness in your body, discomfort. You'll feel it. So if you're feeling a bit kind of out of kilter, or you're not sleeping properly, or you're getting more headaches, or stuff aches that didn't used to ache, then that is a sign to look at what you're doing, because you cannot plough through this stuff indefinitely, because then you'll be really poorly, and that is not something that any of us wants. So another reason, so listen to your body, listen to what your body says. Another thing to think about is kind of that you've gone as far as you have. Do you know? Like you're maxed out on the learning that you can do within your business. And certainly I know that I'm kind of at that point, right? I've been coaching and training people for a long time, like 15 years or something altogether. And there's only so much else I can learn about business, right? I mean, I love learning, okay? Learning is like the number one thing that I love doing. But there isn't really much else to learn. And so I've worked with coaches, particularly this year, I've worked with coaches where it's like, yeah, this is all stuff that I know and often do, but also the bits that I don't do is because it doesn't suit me, but there's nothing new here. There's nothing new. There's nothing different. And the same with courses. It's like if you're maxed out on what you know or what you need to know, and also you don't want to learn anything else, then it's probably time to do something different, to focus on something different. And if you find that kind of like the Sunday night feeling when you had a job that you would get, I thought, oh God, I've got to go to work tomorrow. That kind of feeling that so many people have. If you're finding, not necessarily that that's come back, okay, if that's come back, then absolutely you need to quit your business, right? But if you're finding that you're much happier, you're enjoying life much more at the weekend, and the weekend is structured very differently to your Monday to Friday, then something needs to be adjusted and needs to change. So, for example, I am becoming aware that I spend a lot more time on my phone Monday to Friday, and at the weekends I kind of hardly look at it because, I don't know, we're out and about, we're doing stuff, or I don't know, binge watching Netflix, it doesn't matter, but my mind is in a different zone, is in a different place. And for me, that's a healthy difference. So focusing on quitting using my phone as much or being on my phone as much is something that I'm looking at and focusing. And I've bought a book by Catherine Price that's called How to Break Up with Your Phone. I've not read it yet, but it sounds like the thing that I kind of need to do, right? And so there's some sort of disconnect there between the Monday to Friday use of the phone, and perhaps scrolling, and I'm in the process of kind of looking at what I actually do. But I know at the weekends it's just not the same. So it might be the same for you, and looking at the reasons why and which bit you prefer. Maybe you prefer to be on your phone more, but I don't think that's healthy. So there's something that can kind of be looked at there. Another thing to think about, and this is a really big one, maybe a sign that it's time to quit, is that you've simply stopped caring. It doesn't have to be a big thing. I'm not saying necessarily you simply stop caring about all your clients and your business, but it could be that. It could just be a small thing, like using social media, for example. You simply stopped caring. It's not fun. You don't enjoy it anymore. So don't do it. This is your business, and this needs to make you happy. It needs to be the thing that nourishes you. And if it's not doing that, if you've stopped caring about talking to your clients, and you're kind of, just going through the motion there, then that is in itself something that you really need to kind of address and take hold of. And there's nothing wrong whatsoever with doing a big pivot or changing your focus or doing something different. And I know for sure that along the way in my business, I've stopped caring about what I'm doing, and I've just been doing it. Certainly with the social media management stuff. I mean, I don't know if I ever really liked it, but which is why I got a staff member really quickly to start so they could do the work. I always found it really pretty boring, and it just kind of wasn't for me. It was like the project that never ended, but did it very, very successfully for 4 years or so in the business, because I had a team to do it. But yeah, I didn't care about it. I cared about making the clients happy. So it's like, so I quit doing it myself, and I got other people to do it who did enjoy it, right? Who were better at me than doing it. So it could be that there's something like that there's a change like that you can make in your business. But if you have stopped caring altogether, it's time to kind of do something different with the business. And that's, big thinking there. But not necessarily, the relief outweighs all the other stuff, I think, really. And maybe the industry that you're in, or the people that you're connected to on social media in a similar industry, are kind of really triggering for you, and you don't care about them, and you just think, I hate all of this and all of these people. So again, that might come down to spending less time on social media, or quitting following these people, right? Certainly. And perhaps to pivot to a different focus in your business. So perhaps to offer something slightly different than what you do at the moment. And sometimes these small tweaks can actually make a really big difference with what you're doing. So you do not have to be on one single focused path in your business. You do not have to do that at all. And you can pivot and tweak and change as much as you like until you find what works for you. And then if it stops working for you, you can tweak and change and to pivot as much as, as much as you need to. It's absolutely, being in business is about going on a big journey, right? It's about having a journey. It's not about, I start my business, I reach the destination. You don't do that. You live each day in the business. Yeah, it's kind of important that, otherwise all you're doing is creating a job for yourself, which is just utterly pointless, right? Maybe you get to the point where your financials aren't stable, or that you kind of don't feel valued in what you're doing. And that might be a simple fix of you're aiming at the wrong clients, or that you're not challenged enough anymore. And that's a real biggie. To be mentally challenged in a good kind of positive adrenaline fueled dopamine hit kind of nice way is really so important for so many of us. And if you're kind of, even if your business is massively successful, it might be that you're starting to not feel valued, and you're maybe starting to feel a bit bored because it's easy, and you're having the same conversations over and over again with people. I was saying to a client earlier on today that we were talking about this kind of thing, and I said that one thing that kind of really sticks out in my mind is that when I first ran my first started running social media courses in 2009, a lot about Facebook, right, and how to set up a Facebook page and what to share on Facebook and all this stuff. And when I came to the end of my time of running social media workshops, so kind of 12 years or so, 13 years later, then I was still being asked the same questions. And that's people still want to know this stuff, right? Absolutely. But honestly, bored to tears with being asked the same questions, and therefore kind of not feeling valued, because I knew that so much had moved on from then. By then I didn't care about setting up a Facebook page because we'd kind of moved on to other platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn. TikTok was there by then, and that kind of stuff. So it's and there wasn't, for me, I was maxed out on the learning. There's not really anything else to know about Facebook. So it's quite kind of interesting that this just, I don't care anymore. I'm not interested. I'm so bored of this, is an absolutely natural thing. And that's not a criticism. It just shows you that you've done an amazing job with that, and it's time to move on to the next step. And that's all really super cool. That's all really the beauty of having a business, is that you can change and adapt and just shine in a new way because of all the skills and experience that you've gained over the years. But if you just stay the same, doing the same thing forever, that's not necessarily the most fun you can have in a business. And if that works for you, then, oh my goodness, amazing. Tell me how you keep your mind focused on one thing for so long. But if you don't, and I know a lot of us entrepreneurs, we have lots of ideas, we want to do different things, we want to grow, we want to shape things. And so just continuing to do the same thing for years is not necessarily going to keep you fun and interested and engaged in your own business. And that's what you want to be. And then the final sign that it's time to quit something is that you're not having fun. And that's a real biggie. And that's the thing for me that I am absolutely assessing the most at the moment. And a book that I'm reading by the same author as the other one that I mentioned, actually, Catherine Price, is The Power of Fun. And I'm about halfway through it, and it's really kind of thought-provoking. Not radical in what it says, but almost revolutionary in the effect that it has and the thought process it starts. Now, I absolutely overshare here, but I was halfway through the first paragraph of the prologue bit, and that's all I read before I started crying. And bear in mind, kind of, coming out burnout here, so also like massively over emotional and all of that. But because it just struck me, it's like, oh no, this isn't fun anymore. Things don't feel fun anymore. And I think that is a huge thing to keep as an important front of mind thing, because if your business is not fun, or your life is not fun, or there's some things in life and business that aren't fun, you need to change them, because it's got to be fun, right? And that's not saying that, I don't know, if you don't like doing your accounts, don't do your accounts because it's not fun. But it might be that you set a time limit to kind of gamify it, or you just outsource the lot, right? There are lots of things that you can do there. So think about things that you might need to quit in order to kind of lighten the load on you. And never, ever think that there is any judgment on any of this, because it's your business. You can do what you like. It's your life. Live it how you want to, right? It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. And that's hugely, hugely important. So one thing I am doing is I am going to take a bit of a break from this podcast. And I love doing this podcast, right? And I said right at the top, the feedback I get, and 40 episodes, and I'm really proud of it, but I need to kind of free up a bit of time, a bit of headspace, and it's one thing that I just need to press pause on. So I'm not going to do one for, I don't know, maybe in a fortnight, maybe a few months, who knows, but you've got 40 episodes you can go back and listen to. And also, if you are pining for the podcast, because there won't be an episode next week, then don't forget that there is my book as well, Life in Business, Easy Ways to Work Less, Earn More and Embrace True Happiness, that you can get on Amazon. Always going to be available, that. And in the book, there are lots and lots of very similar themes to what I talk about in my podcast. So you can get that and dive into that and make loads of notes and make lots of changes and decide what it's time for you to quit permanently for a while. Big thing, small thing. There's no right or wrong here, but there's probably some stuff that if you weren't doing those things, you would be a bit happier. And that is the most important thing in business ever. So thank you for being with me for 40 episodes. I have genuinely enjoyed every minute, but it's time for me to just think about things, quit a few things, and come back with whatever comes next. So I'm always available on Instagram at Libby Langley. DMs are always open. So send me a message. Let me know what this has brought up for you. And let's keep in touch over on Instagram. I'll see you soon. Thank you ever so much. Bye. Thank you for listening to Life in Business. Please make sure that you subscribe or follow so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's show, please leave a review, as it helps others to find the podcast and spread the word that there's an easier way to do business. If you want to chat with me about today's episode or suggest a topic for the future, I would love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram at Libby Langley. See you next week.